What is up, everybody? Jester here, and today Expedition 15 Aquarius just dropped. Now, in the last video I told you a pretty generic kit of things that you might want to bring with you. I can now be more specific for this particular expedition, and we brought some things that we ended up needing, and there's a few things that we wish we'd have brought now that I can tell you guys about, so hopefully it's going to help you. And then also a couple of little gameplay tricks, because I did just finish up the expedition. So I want to keep it pretty short, but we do have some stuff to cover, so let's get into it. Hopefully everybody has heard that the Aquarius update is out as of today, September 4th, 2024, and I do not know if that's across all platforms, so please let me know in the comments, whatever platform you're on, if you can see this. I'm on PC, it is available today. Don't worry if you don't see it yet, I'm sure that it's coming. Sometimes the verification process takes longer for other platforms, but clearly this is based on fishing and water. So this kind of shaped the way that I wanted to bring stuff for this expedition. So as you can see, I pretty much have my standardized kit: oxygen, carbon, sodium, ferrite dust, uranium, pyrite. This covers your ship and your life support and your mining laser and all that good stuff. So definitely good to bring. We didn't end up bringing the pugnum, but I did bring the dihydrogen crystals, which came in handy. And because this is a water-based and fishing-based update, I wanted to go ahead and bring salt, and I also wanted to bring living pearl and crystal sulfide. You're going to end up getting quite a bit of crystal sulfide inside the expedition, so you don't have to bring it if you don't want to, but the pearls have kind of a unique thing because there is a reward for collecting 15 of these, which you automatically get if you just bring them. Now, I saw another video that claimed to be the best prep for all expeditions, and it claimed you needed to bring all of these things with you. Guess what? You don't need the copper, gold, silver, indium, emerald, or cadmium whatsoever. But there are some things you might want to bring, and we'll get to that in just a second. But again, since it was underwater, we went ahead and brought these underwater modules with us, thinking that this might actually be pretty useful. And it is, except for they do give you some as you go, so it's not completely necessary, but it might be worth it to bring it if you want to bring them along. When you first land, it's just like any brand new start on a playthrough. You want to collect the basics. You want to get ferrite dust, carbon, dihydrogen, pick up every sodium plant you see, every oxygen plant. In this particular expedition, you are going to have to repair your launch thrusters and your pulse drive before you can get off the planet. And it's going to be a good idea to be able to craft at least a starship launch fuel as well as a warp cell so you can make your first jump. Because once you've made your first jump, you get access to the anomaly, and that's where you can go get all your stuff. Now, like I said, this whole expedition revolves around fishing, and it's ended up being put into your multi-tool. And you'll get this basic fishing rig deal. Now, you're going to have most of these things because you brought chromatic metal, you brought the dihydrogen crystals or dihydrogen jellies, and you've got the carbon to make the nanotubes. So this isn't going to be a really big deal. But what does become a big deal is actually the different baits that you can use. And this is why you might think about bringing some different stuff. The magnetic lure, you're going to need to be able to catch things during a storm. I found it useful to have extra of these, so you might think about a little tritium. And then a few extra things here, like magnetic resonator. There was really only two baits that I needed here. This was one of them. You're going to get some shadow lures and some dangling orbs, so don't worry too much about this. The bionic one I found extremely useful for catching the heavier fish, which is another achievement inside of here. But this one's a pretty costly recipe. You do get 20 per, but at the same time it costs you 2 amino chambers, 3 batteries, and then lubricants. So I think it's probably a really good idea to bring cobalt along with you, because you're going to need some ionized cobalt. And if you wanted to try some of the other different baits, cetophosphate might be a good idea, but you're going to have to go mine that from underwater. I found that it wasn't completely necessary, but cobalt is definitely something to bring with you. For anybody having any trouble finding the gamma root or the Fecium, I'll put a card in the top right corner for the Jester's Garden video, actually called Important Early Farms. And the portal coordinates are here on the bottom left as well. But you can scroll ahead to the end of that video and just check out the coordinates. There's 5 biomes of everything here you're going to need. You can grab the gamma root and the Fecium here and either take it with you, or you can craft the lubricants. Just make sure you've got the recipe unlocked from the anomaly. The only thing I ask, though, is that come here with your multiplayer turned off so that it's here for everyone. Because if 2 people in a row come with the multiplayer on, it won't be here for the second person. So just make sure that it's turned off, and that way everybody can get some. It's all free for everybody. Another big thing that you're going to need to craft inside the expedition is the brand new Exos skiff. This comes up in one of the different phases, and you have to be able to craft it. You're going to have ferrite dust here, so all you have to do is refine down enough to get 120 magnetized. So just double refine the ferrite dust. You'll have salt and you'll have sulfide. So this should be pretty easy for you to craft. Now, another word of warning, do not rely on your hazard protection when you're under this, because it offers 0 shelter if you're in a storm. Even though it's got a little roof over it, it doesn't provide that. So just make sure you got plenty of sodium and you'll be fine when you have to craft this as part of your journey. Another little heads up is there's going to be a mission to where you have to capture 13 fish in these automated traps, and this is the recipe for that. So you should already have everything you need. If you brought the cobalt, you can craft all the ion batteries, plenty of ferrite dust for metal plating, and you've got the salt. But a word to the wise here is you actually want to craft multiple of these, and let me tell you why. Is because once you get a few of them out here, you're going to realize that these are on a timer. They're a 59-minute cycle, and there's only 4 slots. You have to trap 13 of these. So the more that you get out there to be caught, the quicker you can get this one done. This was kind of a time sink. Not as big as the biggest one we'll talk about in a second, but this one, you definitely want to have enough stuff to be able to craft a few of these so it doesn't take quite as long as it took me. As far as hangups go when it comes to the objectives, this was the biggest one for me because you have to catch high temperature fish, and 7 of them at that. So this has to be a planet that has phosphorus on it. It cannot be a windswept planet that has pyrite. So make sure that you do this. This is actually in phase 4, but I found it at the rendezvous 3 system. So this one could be a hang up for you guys. When you get to this planet that's got these nice glowy crystals, just stay here until you catch all 7 of the high temperature ones, and you won't have any trouble with this one at all. As far as the rest of the expedition goes, it's really not that difficult. There's just some tedious stuff about it. One thing, you have to sell 500,000 units worth of fish. So just make sure that you're going back and forth to the station and selling when you get them. The biggest challenge of the whole thing is catching 100 fish, but this is kind of mitigated a little bit because you do catch certain fish as you're going, and you got to catch 500k worth anyway. So like you have to catch a certain number of cold fish that are specific to cold, specific to hot, specific to gamma. So just be sure you're doing those as you go along. You won't have too much of a problem. And again, if you're looking for the big fish, make sure that you've got the aquatic landing thrusters in your ship before you clone it, because if you get into deeper water, these are a lot easier. And also use that bionic lure. It's a really good way to up your chance of getting a higher class and a bigger fish. And speaking of higher class, you do have one there you have to catch an S-class fish. Don't worry about that too much, because in order to finish the expedition, you have to catch the legendary at the very end, and that's going to give you a 2-for-1. That's all part of the storyline. So it's going to happen even if you don't get an S-class as you go. Hopefully knowing a little bit about what you're going to need going into this expedition is going to help you guys have a good experience with it. Now, my experience was pretty fine. We'll give my full thoughts in a full video here coming up about this update down the road here. But there was something I found inside the update that I'm going to go investigate right after I get done publishing this video. And hopefully we're going to find something that might be worth finding in No Man's Sky. Keep your fingers crossed. But if you guys like the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, I thank you guys for watching. Till next time, we'll see you soon. Bye.